Hey guys, Lachlan here from Cowboy for Game, and just real quick before we start the video, something like 80% of the people watching this right now aren't subscribed, so if you do enjoy our content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, really helps us out, and on with the video. Hey guys, Lachlan here from Cowboy for Game, and today I'm joined by Jake.
Hi.
And Ben from Nolan TCG.
Howdy.
So today we're gonna pretty much discuss and give our opinions on what's gonna happen between now and Worlds in regards to physical card prices, because there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world right now, and with certain quarantines or lockdowns, we think maybe physical cards won't retain their value as well. So, well, all right.
Some people think that, but anyway, this is part of
some
the discussion.
people. And then after that, we're gonna go in and sort of pick a bunch of high rarity staples or chase cards, and guess what their value is gonna be just before Worlds.
The answer is low.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty low. But we'll jump right into this. Jake, what do you think is going to happen over the next 4.5 months?
So the thing with me in this regard is that I'm fairly close to it. My job is basically, within the real estate market, we're experiencing similar things, that the buyer pool is shrinking for different reasons, similar but different reasons. Obviously, the virus is having an impact on that as well. The main difference is between that market and this market is that obviously the price is much more.
Yeah.
So the investment is a lot more. But the other difference is as well is that there's never going to not be an interest in that market. People will always be interested in property. Whereas if this game doesn't progress to a certain point, like if there's no new product releases, no tournaments and things like that, being that a lot of other games, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh, are offered online, it may lose some of its fan base in that time, because people may sell their product, move on to other games, and then not come back in. So maybe a similar effect to what the introduction of the link format had to the game, that a lot of players come out and don't come back in.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of Konami not really having something like Pokemon TCG Online. Like, they've got Duel Links, but it's different, you know?
Yeah, the closest thing they have is their game that they've released a couple different versions of it. Like their most recent version just had an update, basically to give us the current card pool, and stuff like that. So like they're kind of getting there, but they're still way behind the curve when it comes to games like Magic and Pokemon and stuff like that, where they've had an online platform for a very long time.
Yeah.
Even with the game, it's played under like a weird Worlds format, because it's like a global ban list, so it's not even like direct simulation of the actual game.
Yeah. It's so with all that in mind, do you think prices are gonna stay? Do you think they're gonna drop significantly? Like, we're talking like 50%?
So my thought with prices is similar to with my job. So the prices will drop at the moment. The biggest issue with it is that the clever sellers out there will be able to retain a good price, because the issue is that people rely quite a lot on pricing apps and eBay prices and things like that. But if the market's stagnant like it is at the moment, there's no evidence of change. So if people are relying on apps like that, it's very hard to track any change in the marketplace. But in saying that, the savvy buyer knows the market conditions and can get quite good prices at the moment. But similar to the property market, and this is sort of where I was coming back into it, once things come back, a lot of the staple cards and things like that will more than likely swing back to their pre shut down prices, if not possibly more, because there may be a limited availability of these cards, being that stock's not getting delivered at the moment, stock's being delivered, but if things get worse, stock's not being delivered.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for people to get their hands on product.
Exactly, yeah. I know that with the forthcoming set, I can't remember what it's called, Secret Soldiers or something like that. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Secret Slayers, that's it. I was close. With that particular set, I know only certain countries are actually getting access to it. I believe it's just Australia and America. But then America also have jump promos. So, like, between those two countries, the format's quite different.
Yeah.
And I know most other countries aren't getting that sent to them. So, and then Eternity Code is still very much up in the air as to whether anyone will be able to get access to that, as far as I know.
Yeah. That's going to be really interesting.
It's
So, yeah.
I don't know how the game, like, pushes for. They can give us new ban lists or alternate formats to play with the cards we already have, but I don't know how the game progresses if we aren't getting new product. Like, they can mail it out to us, but that's if you want to spend $90, $100 plus shipping on a box.
Yeah, so there's obvious supplies issues with the physical product. So them keeping on top of that to keep people invested in the game will be an interesting challenge for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to my original point. Obviously, once the market once the sort of virus containment strategy has succeeded and everyone's back to normal, the prices will be quite high. And it all comes down to a question of when as to where those prices will end up. Because if it's close to WCQ events, the prices will be astronomical.
Yeah, it's just absolutely shoot to the top.
Yeah. As to what is actually going to be expensive at that point, it's very hard to say. Like, obviously, staples and things will be expensive. That's a given. They're always expensive. But then it's hard to pick what a meta deck will be if there's been no real testing of it. Like, there's obviously online play through channels that we won't describe because they don't exist in the eyes of Konami. So people will play on that, but those aren't really a true representation, because even on the more meta relevant one, whose name I won't mention, the pool is still so wide as to what you can verse that it's not a true representation of what an event would be.
Yeah.
Like, when there's no barrier to entry on card prices or something like that, you just can't really judge it as being a meta.
Exactly, yeah. When everyone can buy a playset of everyone can have a playset of Lightning Storms and Extravagance and all these kind of cards. And then even online, there's the issue of, well, is that a genuine thing? Like, particularly on one of those networks, like, did you actually open those cards? Is that actually how the cards work, and all that kind of stuff? Which is sometimes a debate at the event itself as well. Let's be honest, the judges. So yeah, it's an interesting time, and it's kind of up in the air. It's very, like you said, it's a bit of a stab in the dark as to what happens from here.
Yeah.
But my guess is very much in line with what's happening in other markets outside of card games and things like that. Is that once things do go back to normal, they will go back very quickly. But up until then, it will be a very steady decline.
Yeah. If anything, now would be a great time to pick up like low rarity staples, like things that have multiple rarities, because like Super Ash is going to be worthless.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. And over time, the more expensive other staples, like Impermanence and things like that, in the I suppose it's had 2 ultra printings now. But like, in theory, you can pick up secrets and things, because there will be a lot of people that see no value in holding the cards in this time. So they'll sell them just to have a bit of extra cash to spend.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they'll be like, I have no need for this, I'll sell. That becomes like a I think that's going to drive card prices down, like, pretty significantly.
Particularly if there's a necessity to sell. Like, there has been instances I've seen on buy and sell pages of people selling out a necessity because within this climate that we're in at the moment, they can't really work their jobs, so they need to sell off assets to keep some money around, and obviously selling cards that you can't use for however long seems like the first thing to go. So as a sale out of necessity will always sort of breed bargains, and that's sort of what I was going to. Like the smart seller will be able to retain some value in those cards, but the smart buyer will probably win more times than not because desperation's a thing. So it's definitely a good time to pick up bargains, like Ben was saying, like low rarity staples, even like the random high rarity that's not a play set and things. You can definitely get some good prices at the moment.
Yeah.
Something else to consider as well is like the impact of government stimulus and things like that. Like, for example, we haven't seen stimulus flow through into Australia yet, but when that happens, like Yu-Gi-Oh players that come up with a little bit of extra disposable income aren't going to spend that on like something for their house. They're going to spend it on cards.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty interesting. I hadn't really considered that.
Well, you kind of did, because when the stimulus was first announced, you said that you'd spend it on extravagances.
Yeah. So Ben, I know you've got a fair few points. What were your thoughts on this?
One of the major ones that I touched on earlier, was like the fact that those like low rarity staples are just going to crash, but also things like legendary duelists and stuff like that. Like, I can see that kind of stuff holding its value simply because the casuals aren't going to sell their cards. The competitive player is going to sell their cards. The casual is not going to sell their deck. They're going to meet up with their 2-3 friends wherever they are, and they're going to play tabletop. So things like legendary duelists are going to hold value.
Each.
Yeah.
That's that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think more on that as well. I think sets that already had a limited availability. So, like one card, for example, is probably Millennium Isaac Restrict. That card's been hard to get ever since it was printed because nobody bought that set, and those that did were more casual-based players, like Ben was alluding to.
Yeah.
So those cards will probably hold value for the most part. Like, I know that particular card's getting a reprint later, but even then we don't know in what quantity and things like that.
Got banned. Oh, not banned. Limited, sorry.
Limited, yeah. Like, So there's a lot of other factors to keep in mind, obviously, but I think for the most part, cards that are hard to find will retain value.
Okay. Stuff like Dragon Maids as well, like things that people have just because they like the look of the cards. Like, I can definitely see those holding value, whereas like your meta staples, of course, are going to drop, but stuff like that, of course, it's going to hold its value. Like, no one's playing Dragon Maids because they think it's meta relevant. People are playing Dragon Maids because they like the Dragon Maid card.
I have some people to introduce you to.
Yeah. Have you met half our locals?
Well, actually, you were playing them, weren't you, Ben?
Oh, I definitely was. Only because I picked them up on the cheap and I wanted to look like I was rich.
I think they're talking in OCG.
It isn't.
But that's besides the point.
I feel like it just... The OCG is so weird because they have Vert, Anaconda, and Dragon. So it just becomes the new Orcus combo there. I suppose that's something interesting to speculate on too, is looking at cards that are good in the OCG and seeing whether they retain their value for future use.
Yeah.
So other things,
yep.
Sorry. Go on, Jake.
Sorry,
I
was going to say cards like Vert, Anaconda, Union Carrier, and things that we've just got. They haven't really, they haven't really been tested in our meta because we got restricted from play before we even actually had them in our hands.
Yeah.
And then B, like, they're not really at their full potential, particularly Vert Anaconda. We don't have the card that makes that busted yet. So it'll be interesting to see whether because I think at the moment Vert's sitting at like maybe $35 to $40, and Union Carrier at about 25 to 30, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see whether they stay at that level.
There's really nothing to disprove that they are good cards. So like, it's not like you can go and look at the results for the YCS that happened last week in an empty room and figure out that Anaconda is a very playable card. Like, there's no facts to back anything up.
Yeah, that's very true.
Absolutely. On the flip side to that, something like Phantasme, where we're moving into a format where that card could be unplayable, there's nothing to disprove the fact that it is unplayable. So
there's no statistics. There's no like evidence at the moment, really. Like you can go on Dueling Book all you want, but that is a morphed meta. Like the fact that anyone can have any card means that stuff that is good isn't good. Like you can play a deck because you know certain decks just like decks that get played won't be able to afford like higher rarities and not higher rarities, sorry, but better staples and like some decks won't be able to have extravagance even though the it makes them much better. Or you could play a meta deck with extravagance. Now people online are playing very rogue strategies, so it very much morphs what is good.
Also, given the fact we're moving into Master Rule 5, like people are in the like realm when they want to be testing out new things. So people aren't really looking to optimize like Shaddoll Invoked. People are looking to find that next big thing in Master Rule 5 that's going to be crazy.
Yeah, how can I break Naturias? Like it's that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's. I suppose there's so many different factors that are impacting the game at the moment. Obviously, the shutdown's probably the biggest one, but then obviously the morph of the sort of Master Rule as well, being that people are speculative as to what will actually be the best deck moving forward.
Yeah.
It's so weird to be in a time when there's just been a ban list. We're moving into a new Master Rule, but there's no play, so no one has a clue what to do with any of their cards.
Yeah, so much is changing, but also nothing.
This couldn't have come at a worse time for Yu-Gi-Oh! Right when everyone got real pumped up and excited. We're not allowed to play.
It is incredibly poor timing by the Earth to do this to Konami.
How dare they interrupt my card game?
To give my sort of general opinion on what's going to happen to card prices, I think I have a bit more of an extreme view, in a way, than what's been said so far. Like I do agree in principle, but I do think the drop is going to be a lot more significant. I think we're talking like, I mean, it's based off how long we're going to be sort of locked down or quarantined.
Yeah, everything's still very fresh at the moment. Once it kind of settles into people's minds that, hey, I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2 months. Why am I holding this stuff?
Yeah,
we're going to see prices crash hard.
That's what I'm getting at is if we're locked down for a month, I don't really think there's going to be much change in the market. Like there might be a small dip, but people aren't going to worry after a month. If we're locked down for like 4 months, or like the landscape significantly changes after 4 months or just before Worlds, I think we're going to see the market just completely crash. People are just going to be like, there's no value in this at all. I'm more focused on like having food or like putting petrol in my car. Like, I think those are going to be
Well, having petrol in your car's irrelevant because you can't go anywhere.
I imagine I imagine there'll be some sort of work we can have by then, right? I don't know. Everyone will be employed by Woolworths by then.
You're either working for Centrelink or you're working for Woolworths.
Yeah.
I've already lined up a job at Aldi.
But yeah, I think once we have more knowledge on what's actually going to happen, because we're sort of being left a bit in the dark at the moment, but once we have a bit more knowledge on what's going to happen, I would wager a guess that the time you'd want to pick up cards is about 2.5 months from now. 2.5 months from now, I think I think you'll be able to get whatever you want for the price you wanted at, essentially. And I would just stock up on cardboard in the hope that when we come out the other end, there's still going to be interest in the game, and that the meta will still be the same, because that's the other part of like sort of hoarding cards, is if we get a new ban list or something, the meta's going to change and the staples aren't going to be good anymore.
It's going to be strange to see what Konami bases the ban list on, because that's June 1st. I don't see any play happening between now and June 1st.
Exactly. Like, are they just going to be... Are they just going to move us to like a Worlds ban list, or are they going to morph the ban list just to give us content?
Well, the thing is that I think that's probably the benefit of their no sooner than system, is that although they have that date on it, there's absolutely no nothing holding them to that date. Like, what was the very first no sooner than? I think it was like, what, 3-4 months after that date that we actually got the ban list?
I think it was about a month and a half. I think there was like an August ban list, and they said it was supposed to be July.
Yeah.
I thought there was one that was longer than that.
I thought it was like mid-July, and they gave it to us like August 8th or something.
I could have sworn there was one that was longer.
There might have been. I think maybe back in the day, there were like just extreme times where there were just no ban lists for like 9 months.
Like the Eternal format when we for YCS Sydney, when it was Metal Foes was the meta that year.
Yeah, geez.
That ban list was like 9 months.
I remember that, like the biggest. Jeez.
And it took Zodiac to force a new ban list.
Boy, did they force it. So yeah, buy in 2.5 months, sell in 6.
How do you boys feel about reprint risks over the course of... Because Konami's still announcing reprint sets. They did that big drop for the new Battle of Legends of cards that are going to be in there.
That's true.
There hasn't been an announcement for Boral Savage yet, but that's got to come in the next 3 months.
Absolutely, it does. I think they have to reprint everything from Savage Strike at this point.
Well, being the Savage Strike isn't even in circulation. I think
Savage Strike hasn't been in circulation this year.
Yeah, it hasn't been for ages. Like, I think since about... September last year it's been unavailable.
We still have stock floating around in like random stores, but we haven't received new stock for this in a very long time.
I think surely they're doing that on purpose, like to drive up prices so that the reprint sells better.
I mean, possibly, but then like, how do you pick what will be a relevant set to do that in? Because what was in Savage Strike?
You had Extrav, which has its reprint announcement. You had Savage.
Was Phantasme Strike?
Phantasme was, yeah. So that's already seen its reprint.
So I guess Boral Savage is the next one.
I speculated that it was going to be in the last set. Yeah, it could be.
Well, I mean, it's all... Once again, we're going to have to wait at least like a month to find out how any of us are getting actual product at this point. Like, what the landscape is. Like, are we allowed to leave our home? Like, it's all... Like, is Woolies going to start stocking Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Like, that's the...
Please no.
That's where we're at. And I think it's a bit difficult to speculate on reprint sense at all.
We'll have to start locals in the produce section.
Locals in the produce section. I summon Potato.
That's what it sounds like most times I've ever done in this deck.
Oh, I am the Potato.
Sorry, I just went onto the YGO Prices app and I saw that Mystic Mine, a very common super, which is a weird way to phrase it, being that we have commons, is $10.
Yep.
Dodge the ban list. They're probably the one
it's a
card.
Super.
Apart from
super,
max rarity Necroface, it's probably the one card that like skyrocketed.
I think.
Yeah, that is fair.
Well, it's like
I'm sitting on my non-first ed Necrofaces.
At this point, it's just Twin Twister from Bosch, right? It's going to be a $10 super until it gets reprinted.
Yeah.
Do they ever reprint mine?
Do you reckon the reprint for mine happens before it gets banned?
Yeah.
I think we see it in the Megatin as like a low rarity card, and then it disappears on the next ban list.
You know what they could do?
I think they're going to put it to 1. Anyway,
they could make it a common in OTS.
Or they could make it an ulti.
It won't be an ulti.
Anyway,
let's just give everyone who needs it access.
Please.
No one needs it. Stop being weak.
Alrighty, so do we want to look at some cards?
Yeah, 100%.
Let's take a look.
Awesome. So, what card is first off the bat?
Let's look at something meta related. So let's look at what the hell's the meta now?
Let's look at Invocation.
Oh, don't break me. I don't want to
I can
know.
see Super Invocation by August 1st, a quarter of its current price.
Quarter.
For
Yeah.
Super Invocation.
Frankly, I don't know why it's at that price. That's exorbitantly high.
You can still find packs of that set if you look hard enough.
Yeah.
It is not difficult.
Yeah, Shadows of Valhalla isn't all that old. Like, it's kind of old, but not that old.
Alrighty,
Like, not as old as
so-
Fusioning Forces. Like,
Yeah, I can find. It says lowest 29. The average is about 32. So you're saying $8, Ben?
$8. Yep.
$8. Yeah, I'm gonna say like $5. I don't think this is the Shadows of Valhalla version. Where
Wait, shit, man. Are you looking at this converted to Australian or are you in USD? So I've just opened up my app and it says $50 on Super Valhalla.
yeah, that's what mine says. That's what I was talking about. Like, that mine's got
That
lowest
is
40,
ridiculous.
average 51, and that's what I mean.
I might be
Exorbitant.
looking at this in. Let's take a
I
look at my
think you're looking
settings
at
real
USD,
quick.
mate.
Yep, I'm looking at USD.
Yeah, there we go.
Even then, I'd say $12. Super Invocation,
Yeah,
$12.
I'd say anywhere between sort of 10 to 15.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to my guns and just say $5.
Are you just gonna
Okay.
brag this whole thing and just say $5 for everything?
If Bragg was here, that is what he would say. Yes. No,
Yes.
but I do legitimately think it's not just going to be a drop off because of anything else. It's going to be a drop off because the hype from the deck will die down.
If anything, if you have the Ulti Invocation, that's kind of the thing that would hold its price.
Yeah.
Secret can maybe stay at the price it's at, like maybe drop down to like above 30 where it's always kind of sat, but that's Super. That Super's going to be worthless.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how it's worth that. Like, well, I've said multiple times in the last 2 minutes. I don't know how it's that much. That's stupid.
So sorry, what
Um,
was your? We're going to keep tallies and then sort of come back just before Worlds. What
We'll
was
world stream and then we'll look this
Yeah.
up.
What was your guess, Jake?
I'd say, do we have to give a definitive price or can we give a range?
Just give a price. If it's a range, just put it in the middle.
I'll say 15.
15,
I'm sticking with 12.
12. Okay, yep.
Make sure you specify that it's the super.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Because I want the ultis to skyrocket for reasons.
Alrighty, next card off the bat.
You going to give us your prediction? Or is it $5?
Oh, $5.
Okay.
On God,
He's-
I really do believe
he's
it's
just
going
gonna
to be $5.
yeah, he's just gonna do that. I'm going to go for the next staple, which is going to be, well, it's not really a staple, but I'm going to go for Appaloosa.
Ooh.
I can
Um,
see
How do you
it.
spell this
Is it
card?
Still, is it still high?
It's APO.
There we go. It just wasn't showing up.
Yeah, I struggle to
Shit,
spell this
man,
all the
this is
time
still
because I do
$160
like
bucks.
double P.
So
Yeah,
at lowest, right now it's $163.84.
I'm going to
That's
say
also-
$75. I'm
I'm going to say 85.
Appaloosa 75 85.
5.
I'm gonna say 60.
Okay.
Should specify in that too that this is the secret, not the Starlight Rare.
Yeah.
'cause similar to the ulti for Invocation, the cards that are hard to find and particularly with this, a very exclusive rarity, will maintain value
Yeah,
I wish to
absolutely.
complain
because they
that,
become more like collector's items than actual played cards.
Exactly. That's a big reason why we're not speculating on older cards or like
I want
things
to
like that.
I want to have a whinge that the fact that I sold my Ulti Invocation for $50 back in the day.
Oof.
Did you sell it to me?
Oof.
I don't know. It was enough to buy 2 secrets, so I was like, yeah, sure.
Actually, no, I had 2 secrets. It definitely wasn't me because you would have just traded, and I had those secrets for ages.
Alrighty, Ben, give us a card.
Let's go with Extrav, both the secret rare and the reprint price if we receive it at launch.
Ooh, okay, interesting. That's a big spec because we have no idea what rarity it's going to be. And from the way that they've announced that set 2, there could possibly be 2 rarities.
Let's work on the fact that it's 1 per box. Let's say 1 per box. You're guaranteed to pull one.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. Okay.
I'm willing to take other people's answers first, so I have a longer time to think about this.
Don't pretend like you're not going to say $5.
What's the current price on the secret rare?
Lowest is 131.
I can
Why
see.
does your lowest say my average?
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
It's
my
mine too.
average is 131.
My lowest is 131.20.
Mine is 131.79, and my lowest.
Maybe yours
is
is including.
At least we're not on USD anymore.
Yeah.
We're on that page. Yeah.
Look, I'm the one recording the screen. We'll go off that.
Okay. I reckon.
See what your screen says. Anyway,
We'll go with a secret rare.
Alright, secret.
I'm gonna say $55.
$55. Okay.
Reprint.
Okay.
Reprint about $30.
Reprint 30.
I'm going to say $80 for the secret.
80.
And I'm going to say 25 for the reprint.
25 for the reprint. So I'm gonna say that before Worlds, you'll be able to pick up a playset of Extravagance for $100.
Damn.
The secret.
Jesus Christ. Is that a prediction or a wish?
No, that's a prediction. I think. I mean, that's essentially what happened to Desires after it got reprinted.
But the
Desires was also
rarity.
a guaranteed. It was a guaranteed ultra.
I guess that's fair, but I don't think this card's going to be hard to find. And I think now that they've reprinted it once, they're going to reprint it a lot more. And I think people are going to sort of key onto that quickly.
I think when Desires got its reprint, I picked up the secrets for like $25 a pop because it came out right in the sweet spot of when to buy cards.
I sold Desires just before, like the day before it got reprinted, like before the reprint got announced, and it was very good. So I'm gonna say what's that? Like 30, we'll say 30, 35,
35
and then
each.
round down for a playset. 35, and I'm gonna say the reprint will be 15. Next card. Let's say Imperm. Because it just got reprinted.
Again.
Again.
I just had it here. Or I thought I did. Where'd it go?
Alrighty, so the lowest I can see, and this is dual power, but we can speculate on other rarities, like the secret or the dual overload if you guys want. Still the lowest I can see for Flames of Destruction is 75.
Yeah, well, Flames of Destruction has the same thing as the Savage Strike in that, like, it's a much older set that went out of print a long time ago.
Do we just want to pick one version and
we'll go for the dual? We'll go dual overload.
Dual overload?
Because that one has a couple of interesting things. So that's its second print in Ultra.
Yeah.
It seems about as hard to get as the dual power one, but it's more recent, and there's a lot more better cards in it than what the dual overload. Dual power. So I feel like more people will buy it. So with that in mind, I think the dual overload print of Impermanence will go down to, let's say 15.
15?
Wild speculation. I don't see it moving at all. I can see the fact that no, there's nothing to prove that anything out of Dual Overload is going to be good. Like, there are cards that are going to be good, but there's no definitive proof to say X card is good. So people are going to look to find value in cards they know are going to be playable when it comes back.
Okay,
So
yep.
I can 100% see Imperm just staying at its current price for all 3 printings.
So I'll put you down for what, like $30, $35?
We'll say $30.
$30. All right. So this is actually the one card where I agree with Ben in a way, because I do think Bioworlds will probably be allowed. Oh, I don't know.
I think if there was one more print, I could see it tanking.
That's what it is. It's like this card is good. Like, it's always going to be good because monster effects are good, and this stops that. So yeah. I could almost see this card rising because right now people are opening a lot of this set, and this is the price we're getting it at, like $30. I could almost see this going up to 40.
When we come back to play, is this card the most expensive card in Dual Overload?
Well, I feel like Needle Fiber is going to drop quite a bit because the Easy Tuner access has been removed from the ban list.
It's either this or Verde Anaconda.
Yeah, Verde Anaconda will be one of the higher ones.
If Dragoon's been announced as a reprint, 100%.
Yeah, that's fair. But, like, Signet Mining is also a shout.
I can see just the arse falling out of Signet Mining.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, why don't we take a look at Signet Mining as our next...
I'm gonna say $40.
Do you reckon it will go up?
I think it's gonna go up.
Ooh.
Because, like, I think this, like, yeah, I agree with that. I think this is gonna be the most expensive card Dual Overload.
Alright.
Because it's just good.
At least until there's reason for the other cards to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that Forbidden Droplet card that got announced will be interesting. Whether that power creeps impermanence.
Alrighty, Jake, what we got next?
Let's take a look at Signet Mining since we brought it up.
Alrighty.
So the price is already quite low from just the super reprint.
I think it was an overprint in Dark Neostorm, so I think it was the easiest secret to get.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty... This is a pretty simple one.
I think this is gonna drop.
I think this is gonna be $5.
that Ultra, $5 to $8. The secret, I'd say it'll probably sit around 20, but that Ultra is gonna be worthless.
Yeah, I'd say the same.
Ultra secret. So I'm gonna say $5 for the Ultra secret, maybe like 12, 15.
Yeah, I'd say the same. The biggest thing that'll keep that pricing though is if Cyber stays relevant. So like if Salad doesn't get hit in the ban list and stays like relatively competitive, which will be hard to tell because we have nowhere for it to compete. But
theoretically, Vrains is over. So are we gonna see any more Cyberverse cards?
Possibly. They could just keep it as an archetype coming. I mean, there was a whole Cyberverse archetype that didn't use any links at all.
Yeah. Alrighty. So,
next card.
Yeah, pretty easy. Ben, what we think?
This one's going to be a weird one because it's a staple relatively in the previous format, and we don't know what the next format's going to be. So it's Ulti Droll and Lockbird, or High Rarity Droll and Lockbird.
Droll and Lockbird. Ooh. These cards are always tricky because they fall in and out of the meta all the time, which ultimately
so we're talking
affects their
specifically about the ulti.
We'll say the ulti or the top 3 rarities. So like the common, ignore it, and the STPL ultra rare, ignore it. But
alrighty,
the super, ultra, and ulti.
Droll. Super, ultra, and ulti.
I'd also like to say it's a $10 common.
That's quite expensive.
That is weird. Like I bought those structures for sealed only at $12. That's value back in one card.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Super, $20 lowest. The
Yep.
Ultra also $20 lowest, and the Ulti is about $100, 110.
Yeah.
I reckon Super and the
sorry.
Ultra, $10 at most, $10,
Okay.
if not lower.
Well, it's interesting with those because I did take a quick look at the pricing flux, and they generally have like a dip, but they stay relatively high. So, for my prediction for the Super, I believe I'm going to put that one actually higher than the Ultra. I'm going to put the Super is staying the same.
20.
Yeah. I'll put the Ultra as 10.
10.
And I'll put the OTS the same.
Okay.
Because I don't think the OTS would fluctuate from that, and I've definitely seen them for higher than that.
I can see it losing about $30 off the price of the Ulti.
Okay, so you reckon
It's moved out of the meta. I reckon about
75,
$80.
80?
Yeah, $80.
80. Alrighty. I think. Oh, this is a difficult one, because it very much depends on what is good. Like, this card got hyped because it was very good at stopping Sky Striker, and now it's kind of good to stop like Magical Meltdown.
It was big for Droll. Sorry, it was big for Spiral, but Spiral's
Spiral,
dead now.
and Spiral's banned now.
So, which card was this?
Drop.
Oh, we're still talking about Droll. Sorry, I spaced out for a minute.
So I'm gonna say Super's gonna go to like $8. I think the Ultra is gonna probably. I think it'll maintain its value a little bit better. I think it's gonna go to like 12, 15. 15. And I think the Ulti is gonna go to 70, 65, 70. And I think if it gets to 65, you should buy them.
Okay.
Trolls done. Alrighty, we'll do one more round. Let's
Another
go.
round. I can't even think of any more cards.
I'm currently working on my final suggestion, but hopefully it's good.
Yes, that's what I should have been doing in the time while everyone else was suggesting cards. Let's say Verde Anaconda.
Depending on whether or not we see Dragoon get announced, like it was alluded to in the announcement for.
Let's say it does.
I think it was Battle of Legend. If it is in the Battle of Legend, I can see it going up to being like a $50, $60 card 100%. This card's going to skyrocket.
Okay.
If it doesn't get announced, I still see it holding its value because people are going to be sitting there like, oh, Dragoon one day.
So you reckon hold value
or go up.
Hold value or go up.
Yeah.
So would you say now is a good time to pick these up?
Definitely now is a good time to pick this up. I don't see them getting any cheaper than what they are right now.
Alrighty.
Pretend my mic didn't. Sorry, may have to edit this part out. My thing cut out. What are we talking about?
We're talking about Anaconda.
Oh, Anaconda.
On the basis that Dragon
cool.
does get released.
Okay. Yep. Cool. So you said 60.
Yeah.
I said
65.
60 if Dragoon gets announced. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is that what we're doing? Prices if and if not.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, with that in mind, I would say if Dragoon does get announced,
yep,
I would say that Vert would go to be probably a $75 card.
Yeah, that's around what I was thinking.
If not, I would say it probably goes to maybe 20.
20. Yeah, my predictions are pretty much the exact same as Jake's. I think
Cool.
it's
Cool.
always going to be worth at least 20. Yeah, pick them up now, and because once Dragoon comes out, that card's going to $75-$80. Awesome. What you got for us, Jake?
Since we brought it up, the announcement of Dragoon will be a interesting time in the market in general, like whether or not we'd go to this whole lockdown situation. So my pick for card is the super variant of super variant of Red Eyes Fusion.
Red Eyes.
Thank you for saying that, because I was gonna say that and I didn't want to say that as my next one.
So this card is currently sitting at on my thing it says average of 28, probably says lowest for yours because reasons. And that is purely because of Dragon hype, because no one's playing Red Eyes. So, like, a lot of that price will probably... See, I don't know whether it gets any more expensive than this.
It has two common prints already. 2
common prints. But in saying that, they're not in commonly available product anymore, like Legendary Duelists and Legendary Decks 2.
Yeah.
I actually think the Legendary Duelist reprint is due in that set we're receiving in, I think was it June? That one with the first 2 Legendary Duelists getting reprinted? I believe Red Eyes Fusion is due to be in there.
Okay.
I see this card. Let's say Dragoon gets released before that. I see this card maybe spiking for like a week and a half and then coming back down to like $15. Like, I think it'll tank from where it is now after a brief spike.
I think this is the sort of card that there are people out there who have invested a lot of money into this card and are sitting on a massive stack waiting for this card to be announced. So I can see it holding its value because those people are probably just going to keep picking up anything that shows up below the price they want it to be.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So...
I reckon it'll hold. I think the price that it is now is the price that those people want it to be.
So like 25, 20?
We'll say 25.
25. And you're saying 25, Jake?
Yeah.
Alrighty. We'll give it to you, Ben, for our final card.
My research has not shown a lot of fruit, but the chase card from Eternity Code. If we receive Eternity Code, whatever the chase card is, let's say it's the Ghost Girl. If the Ghost Girl is the most expensive card in the set, what are we looking at?
God, that's difficult. We don't even know what it is.
No, they've announced the next Ghost Girl.
I've been trying to find what the most expensive card in Japan is, but I just haven't found it yet.
Well, we know what the next Ghost Girl is.
It's the negation on summon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the effect Veiler that doesn't target. And if it leaves the field, they take life point damage.
Okay, I think...
So we're just saying that? Or just whatever the chase card is?
We'll say that. And I have another one because I've just found what the most expensive card is.
Okay, what's the...
It's the Dragon Maid. The new Dragon Maid.
Oh, yeah, actually...
That card's garbage.
I think it makes it playable, like the main deck monster.
Yeah. God.
I'm gonna say they're both. If Worldwide receives the set, hell, if Europe doesn't. But if USA and us receive it, around $60 to $80 each for each one.
I can see that. I definitely. I think I agree with you on the Dragon Maid. Like, I'm thinking Dragon Maid's probably... That's just a deck people want, regardless of how well it does, ever. It's got dragons and little girls, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Players love it.
In theory as well, both of these cards are secret race.
Yes. So
yeah, that's true.
You said 60 to 80?
60 to 80. I reckon one will be 60, the other will be 80. They're interchangeable, though.
Okay. I'm gonna say
it just comes down to if people want waifus or people want a hand trap.
I'm gonna say the Dragon Maid's gonna be like $75, and I'm gonna say that the like Ghost Girl hand trap thing, I reckon that's gonna be 50.
Granted, my advice may not be the best because I invested heavily in no material, and look where that got me.
It's weird that card doesn't see more play.
Well, it makes sense now, but it didn't make sense at like YCS. What you saying, Jake?
I'm gonna say for the hand trap, I'm gonna say 50.
Yep.
And for the Dragon Maid, I'm going to say, what's the most expensive Dragon Maid worth? It was like, it was like $60. I'm gonna say 60.
60? Or
yeah.
I'll check out what Kitchen's price is at the moment.
Yeah, Kitchen, or was it Nurse or one of them?
Kitchen is the money one.
Kitchen.
Kitchen average $67 at the moment.
I'll stick with 60. Actually, no, I'll say 70 because I just remembered if we're the only ones that get that set, then the European weebs will chase us for it.
Oh, real quick, Magician's Soul.
Oh, that should be tanking.
It's gonna tank.
Let's see if there's any change at the moment.
How do you spell this card? There we go.
Oh, I have anything with an apostrophe. It just struggles with.
It's like the apostrophe at the end.
It's still. Oh no, I say still. It's now lowest 81, average 130.
That's already lost a third of its price.
Yeah, I think this card's gonna be like $25. And then I think eventually, because it can still function as a +2 in most decks.
Yeah, it's just the decks that abused it the most that got like free value out of sending spells and traps aren't in the meta anymore between Spiral and Lunalight.
When we look at something like Ancient Gear Fusion, like that's not playable in a lot of decks, and that's still $65.
But that comes back to that Legendary Duelist type thing where only the anime fans bought it.
Cards in these sets kind of have a standard of value that they just don't drop below.
Yeah. Okay, so what we thinking?
I'm gonna go 55 each.
55 each, and would you buy it for 55 each?
No.
Okay.
Straight up no.
Jake?
I would say probably. Actually, I know. Give me a sec, because someone told me that they sold them.
If anyone wants Magician Souls, if he hasn't sold them yet, hit up Tom Holland.
Oh, no, he sold them. That was the person I was referring to. Yeah, so I'd say 40 each.
40 each. And I said 25. But I just don't see it
going below 50 just because it's in a Legendary Duelist.
Yeah, that's fair.
Given like unplayable cards in these sets hold exorbitant values, this card is playable. It's going to hold something.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to stick with my 25 because I think it'll go down and then spike again. Just because most of the Legendary Duelists, like the cards that come out in those sets that hold value, were just never good. This card was good, and so it's going to drop off as people stop playing it. Whereas the cards that
meta players have it, like unlike a lot of other Legendary Duelist cards where they don't.
Yeah.
Like meta players are going to be the people that are selling this card.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's one of those few Legendary Duelist type cards that has actually come across into the meta.
Okay. Awesome. Well, gentlemen,
before we finish up, does anyone have any investment recommendations?
I don't have
Imperm.
invest.
Buy Imperm.
Yeah, it's pretty much staples, like cards that will just always see play. So, like if you can get them cheap in a higher rarity, great. So things like Impermanently has the 2 rarities, but if you can get secrets, even if it's only 1 at a time, I think cards like Twin Twister and things like that, if you can get them in the secrets, are like even singles in ultis if you can get them at a decent price as well. I think that's where quite a lot of it lies as well, is actually having the energy to try and source single high rarity cards as well, because there will be people that want to finish sets and things like that, and they will retain value, if not more so later on. Because of that sort of skippability. Sorry, I was reading something on the screen as I was trying to say something and I fucked it. Fuck off. They'll retain value because of their collectability, so they'll just stay fairly high in value.
Okay. I'm just gonna go straight to ultis. If you can pick up, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but given what's gonna happen, like given what we can speculate is gonna happen to lockdowns and stuff, if you can pick up either ulti desires or ulti dualities as a set for under 300, I know that sounds crazy. If you can do either, I would do it.
Yeah,
because they'll go back up.
I'd say definitely those two are good picks as cards to get.
Especially
on the
duality. Duality is $200 each right now. If you can pick them up for like 100 each, do it.
And there's always going to be a deck floating around somewhere that doesn't need their normal summon. Desires is a particularly good one as well, because that set was so short-lived. The OTS for that just went by so quickly. So people that were actually fortunate enough to get play sets from that were very lucky.
Yes.
So I think even Twin Twister was a very hard one to get in that set. What was that the same one?
Twin Twisters was the newest one.
That was Judgment.
Oh, okay.
Legionnaire.
I have a playset of Ulti Twin Twisters, and if I have them, they are easy to get.
It's because you keep beating all the Narrowt people for them.
No, they just trade them to me after they get them. So.
Fuck.
What about yourself, Ben?
I'm going to go with something random, but the 2019 World Championship promos that every store got.
Oh, yeah.
2019 ones float around real cheap. The 2018 ones, they're long. You've lost your opportunity to buy those, but they don't actually match. So 2019 it is.
Yeah, those are they're a decent pick. It's sort of like what we've both alluded to as well with that, is cards that are worth more than what they are in a meta. So cards that are like a very exclusive printing, like a Starlight Rare or an Ulti and things like that. So more than likely they'll retain value because they're hard to get.
It all comes down to the lockdown. Like, if people go, I need money, I can sell this thing for a lot of money, and someone offers them a lot of money but not quite market value for it, I think we can see a little drop there.
Yeah.
All it'll take is for one person who's been hoarding to go bust, and then you're just going to see so much of this stuff flood onto the market.
Absolutely. Like, it'll just, yeah. So yeah.
And one bit of advice before we go as well. You will see a lot. There's been a rise in auction pages over the last sort of 6 to 12 months in the community as well. For the most part, I think they're quite good. You can get some very seldom seen cards or some play sets for quite cheap of cards you may need, because they're just selling stuff that they have sitting around for the most part. But I would sort of caution that to some extent, because with proper auctions on proper auction forums and things like that, there's certain measures in play to make sure that it's fair to everyone. Whereas in these types of things, those measures aren't really there. So sometimes
I was looking at an auction page the other day that I won't name, but it wasn't even against the rules. Like, the rules said nothing of proxy bidding, not a single thing. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, and it's something you got to be observant of. Sometimes it's just knowing who's in the community and knowing that X is friends with Y, therefore their bidding on that item is suspicious. And also knowing market price as well. Like, if you can see that prices are already well above market, just don't participate.
Yeah.
That's the simplest way to do it. If you feel that something's off or like you feel like you're paying too much, just don't.
Yeah, just stop bidding. This
is actually reminded me of something. The most recent thing that I bought from an auction page was Satellite Warriors, the ultra rare from Legendary Duelist.
Oh, that big level 12 synchro thing.
Yes, I picked them up at dollars, so this is probably a great card to invest in. Legendary Duelist ultra rare at $1. A great card to have because it's gonna go up.
Yeah, that is something about auction pages. I think the best way to use auction pages, please don't use them to build a deck. Use them to collect cards you think are cool, or like if you're getting a mad deal on them. Like
skulk around right before cutoff times.
You can probably get a better price by just haggling with people over singles.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Some people misunderstand the purpose of an auction is not always to get a bargain. Certainly you can, like Ben said, but that's less so that card was a genuine bargain, but more so that like Ben sees value in it past a certain point. But for the most part, auctions are there to reveal what the absolute best price for a card is. And particularly with meta staples and things, if you're chasing those, auctions are a terrible place because you're not the only one that's going to be chasing those important cards, and therefore that drives up the price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a word of warning with auctions. They can be great, but proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Something that you said earlier in the finishing off of your high rarity playsets, they are a terrible place to finish off your rarity playsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It never ends well.
No, not at all, because you're not the only one that's chasing those last ultis for a playset and things like that. And generally speaking, with those auction pages, they feature them on days that have high traffic, so a lot more people have their eyes on them. Yeah, so you're never going to get a good price on those kinds of cards there. You're better off looking through the buy and trade pages for people that are selling them to fund other projects and things like that, rather than chasing the best price.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Well, gentlemen, it's been eye-opening.
It's been numbers and thinking, which is kind of what I leave work to not do.
It's been 40 minutes longer than I thought it was going to be.
How long have we been going for?
An hour and 6 minutes.
Oh shit!
Jesus.
We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. But if you want to see more of Ben, you can go to his channel, Nolan TCG.
Some really great replays of not only meta decks but casual stuff.
But of Dynamist, you can see a lot of Dynamist on there.
We're gonna have some Cosmo stuff coming up in the next couple of days that makes me look really good and really bad at the same time.
Hell yeah!
Oh, those are always fun.
God, I love Cosmo so much.
Play it instead of Dynamist.
No,
they're the right kinds of machines.
No, but also make sure if you're not subscribed, I don't know if there's anyone who's not subscribed that's made it here, but if there is, make sure that you hit subscribe and click the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think. If you want to leave your
if you have
predictions,
any speculations, speculations on any cards that we've mentioned or predictions on cards you think will flux in price a lot, comment down below because we'll discuss it on the next one of these that we do or on the next podcast.
Awesome. So, thank you, and have a good one.
Bye.